Hi, it's Dr. Eric Balcabbage and we're back for another Thyroid Thursday video. So today we're going to talk about nutrition and the thyroid function and why it's important to have not just a thyroid panel but an indication of some other nutrients or micronutrients that are really important for thyroid physiology to work. So if we only run as in a traditional lab panel, like we said, at TSH and T4, we're not really getting big picture as to what's going on with our thyroid physiology. So, when we take a look at thyroid physiology, last time we talked about the hypothalamus. When the cells of the system need thyroid hormone, they send signals to the hypothalamus in the brain. The hypothalamus produces a hormone called thyroid releasing hormone, stimulates the pituitary. Pituitary makes thyroid stimulating hormone, stimulates the thyroid gland to make T4 and T3. The vast majority of it is T4. It needs to be converted into T3 in three places: the liver, the gut, and the peripheral tissues. Once we have T3, it's bound to the thyroid binding globulin, which is essentially the taxi cab. The thyroid hormone then gets released, binds to receptors on the cells, pulled into the cells, and then gets into the cell where it can actually help regulate metabolism. But not only do we need TSH, but we have to be able to make TSH. So how do we make that? What's important to make that? Well, we need adequate protein from our diet. So we definitely want to make sure that we have somebody who's getting adequate proteins into their system. We want to be able to, we need optimal magnesium, we need optimal amounts of zinc, and we need optimal amounts of B12. So we're not going to see if you have those values, if you have optimal levels of those things, if we only run a TSH and T4. So if you don't have these values, you can't make appropriate TSH, and that may be one reason why a TSH may be low, or we may have some problem with thyroid function. Once we have TSH, we've got to go to the thyroid, and the thyroid gland then needs to make T4 and T3. Well, to make thyroid hormone, we need tyrosine, which is an amino acid that we get from our proteins. We need iodine. We need an enzyme called thyroid peroxidase. We need B2, which is riboflavin, and we need vitamin C. If we're nutrient deficient in any of those micronutrients, or that enzyme doesn't work appropriately, then we're not going to make adequate amounts of T4. So you could have a normal TSH and a low T4, and it's because we have deficiencies of these things. For T4 to be converted into T3, we need another nutrient. We need selenium. So we need some key nutrients, not just thyroid hormones, but we need key nutrients to make those thyroid hormones and to make the hormones that help make the thyroid hormones in the first place. So once we get the thyroid hormones to the cells, we also need vitamin D, vitamin A to make that thyroid hormone actually work within the cell. So we need 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 different micronutrients to make this thyroid physiology work. And so if we're only doing TSH, T4, we're not going to know that either. How are we going to find those values out? You can see some of those on you can get ideas of some of those hormone or micronutrient levels on a comprehensive metabolic panel, or we can run a micronutrient panel. There's a great test called a one test or an organic acid test that'll give us some of our micronutrient levels, but you have to measure these things. What gets measured gets managed. So if we only run a TSH and a T4, we won't have an understanding as to how this whole physiology is working. And if these values are low, we won't know why they're low if we don't look at these things. The only recourse we have then is to dump more Synthroid or some type of thyroid hormone, bioidentical, into the system to try and make it work. But let's say if we load the body with T4 but we don't have selenium, we're going to have a hard time converting it into T3. So we need all of these, not just the thyroid hormones, but we need all of these micronutrients to help make the thyroid hormones so that the physiology can work. So that's this Thursday's Thyroid Thursday video. So not only do you need to talk to your doctor about thyroid hormones, but we also need to make sure that we have appropriate micronutrients. So don't just get a TSH and T4, make sure you get a full thyroid panel, and make sure that who's ever evaluating you is running a more complex panel to look at your micronutrient status and amino acid status. And one of the best tests to do that is what's called a one test, which is a combination of an organic acid and an amino acid panel, and Genova Diagnostics is a lab that'll run that panel. Okay? Thanks for listening and paying attention to this Thursday's Thyroid Thursday video, and I'll talk to you next week. And next week we're going to talk about the patterns of hypothyroid dysfunction. Take care.